A very good evening to everyone. Welcome to this webinar today on immunity in winters. I'm Dr. Pooja Singhania. I'm the nutrition consultant with Clay. And I'm glad that we are meeting today on this platform to discuss your doubts and concerns about how are you going to manage your child's immunity during this season. Let us begin with first understanding that, just a brief introduction about myself. So I am the founder of Nourish 1000 Days. So we found this organization to be able to guide and support mothers during the first 1000 days of life. That is from the time the child is conceived to the time they turn 2 years old. So that's the journey of the first 1000 days of life. And I personally faced a lot of challenges during this period, especially with breastfeeding. And that's when I thought that I would want to learn more about this particular way of nourishing the baby and make sure that every mother is supported and has the right kind of guidance when it comes to taking care of the nutrition in the first 1000 days, because these this is the stage where the foundation for life is laid. It's the foundation for physical, mental, and emotional development of a child, of a human being. Right. So then I have done courses, which is the Infant and Young Child Feeding Counseling Specialist by BPNI, Middle Infant and Young Child Feeding Specialist by IIT Bombay, and IYCF Counseling Expert by BPNI Maharashtra. So let us begin to understand why are we concerned about the immunity in winters. So let's begin with this short poem that I thought. As the cold winter winds begin to blow, our body temperatures drop and our heart rate is slow. This is an adaptation to allow sufficient rest and repair. As for the active summer months, we gradually prepare. Animals hibernate and utilize their stored reserve. Humans are confused whether to reduce, reuse, recycle, or simply conserve. For there is abundant food, artificial light, restlessness, and wakefulness, throwing our biological clocks into a complete mess. Alignment with nature is what animals have always known, but the supremely intelligent species decides to use mind of its own. So this sort of summarizes or reflects on how we are adapting now, to our environment gradually. And because of the technology or the, more and more facilities available to us, we are somehow not able to align ourselves to nature. And that's when all the problems arise. Yeah, but animals have natural instincts which they follow, and therefore they have better chances of survival and having a good quality of life. Hmm. So, firstly, let us understand what is different about this winter season. So I know that most of us mothers are worried now. It's winter time, I need to cover up my baby. There need to be layers of clothes so that they don't catch cold. Okay, so it's the cold and we don't want to catch it, right? So why are we more susceptible to colds, or why are kids more susceptible? So basically there is a dry winter air. Okay, so this dry air is what supports or is favorable for the flu viruses. Okay, then in addition to that, there is low or poor sunlight, right? So I know that right now if we see Mumbai and I'm sure other cities also, it's not as cold, or we still have the sun, but it generally means that there is a shorter day, so there is low sunlight, and less sunlight means less synthesis of vitamin D on our skin, right? So, or basically even the rays of the sun at this time are not the ones which may allow for enough synthesis of vitamin D. So if vitamin D is low, then also it compromises our immunity. And finally, there is constriction of blood vessels. So we will also understand further that we are adapting to winters by conserving more heat in our body, right? So that conservation is done by means of constriction of blood vessels, and this constriction also pertains to constrictions of blood vessels in our nose, which actually leads to prevention of heat loss. It is an adaptation done to prevent heat loss, but in that bargain what happens is there is very little fluid in the nasal passages. That means that when any virus will attack, there will be a longer time taken by the WBCs to reach the mucous membrane. Okay, so then that actually also sort of compromises. So the viruses can enter easily and already reach our, throat, and before even the WBCs can act on it. So these are susceptible to winter season, right? So, as we say that, then how is our body adapting to the changes of winter? So, firstly, we are reducing heat loss. So, it's as simple, because we need warmth, we are going to conserve the warmth. So, we are reducing the loss. So, reducing loss, as we discussed, is related to closing of the pores, or basically constriction of vessels. So, lot of heat loss occurs by way of the pores on the skin. There is also less heat traveling from internal organs to the skin, because we are trying to conserve the heat. So then that heat loss is going to be prevented. Secondly, you're going to increase the heat production in the body. That means that we are going to keep the combustion on. Okay, so thermogenesis, basically that is the calorie burning effect, which helps to keep the fire alive. So it's like, as you can see here, the fire is kept alive by putting wood, right? So that's the thing that keeps the fire on. So similarly for us, the fire will be on if the food is going in. So we tend to increase heat production. However, actually at this time we should be using all our fat stores to generate that heat, because we are storing fat just before the winters, okay, set in. And then it's like, then in winter we can go into hibernation mode, and that's when we will use all the reserves that we have created. So then that increased heat production means more burning of fat as a fuel, and then also maybe it is associated with an increase in hunger, because we are wanting to be in a constant state of warmth. So then we tend to keep eating, so that this combustion keeps going on. All right. So that's the adaptation by the body. Now, in all of this adaptation and the way we are seeing that, we are more susceptible, what are we going to do in terms of our diet so that we are protected more against winter? So then nature has this beautiful way of ensuring that what you need in that season is brought to you in terms of by way of what grows in that season. Okay, so let us understand what are the typical foods that are available in this season, and how do we incorporate them in our diet. So first is cruciferous vegetables. So cruciferous vegetables are, like, you can think of all those which are from the brassica family. So it means the cabbage, the cauliflower, broccoli, red cabbage. If I were to include the ones which are western, so it's bok choy, collards, or kale. Yeah, but in the Indian context is mostly all your cauliflower, cabbage. What do these do? So these basically contain glucosinolates and anthocyanins. So these are basically associated with the pigment these vegetables carry. So that particular components are what allow or prevent toxins from attacking the body. Okay, so as we said that we are more susceptible to viruses entering. So these particular compounds are going to help us fight. Added to this, these vegetables are also good sources of vitamin C, vitamin K, and folate. Vitamin C we already know is an antioxidant. Vitamin K acts as a acts to boost immunity by helping the blood vessels to function properly. And then folate is associated with overall carrying of oxygen, DNA functioning. So that's how it helps. So then how much are we going to eat? Okay, so I'm talking about this on a daily basis recommendation. So about 100 grams or a half cup should be consumed daily of this particular cruciferous vegetables. So how do we incorporate them? So I'm just sharing recipes for one of the kind of cruciferous. So example, I choose cauliflower. Then I can try to make a paratha out of it. So we all eat gobi paratha in winters. You can make soups using cauliflower. Then you can even like use cauliflower florets and coat them with chana flour, that's basin, and then make some kind of baked or florets or fritters. And you can also, without using the chana flour, you can directly grill the cauliflower to make a grilled cauliflower salad, or just and put on your herbs like oregano or peppers and stuff, and make a very nice grilled cauliflower. So this particular range of recipes can apply to any of the cruciferous vegetables, that is your broccoli or even cabbage. They can be used in similar ways. Next is green leafy vegetables. I'm sure all of us are seeing abundant green leafy vegetables now in the market, because this season promotes or facilitates the growth of these veggies, and they are more fresh and tender at this time. Okay, so you have your basic ones like your spinach, your methi, mustard. Like I'm sure we all are seeing a lot of sarso around us, and batua. Batua is basically white goose food, but it is also used in the sarso saag. Then suwa or dil. Then mart. By mart I mean amaranth leaves. By suwa I mean dil leaves. Okay, so dill leaves, amaranth leaves. These are radish leaves, beet leaves. These, I think you should not miss out any of the leaves during this season, because they are so fresh, and because of the vibrant green colors or the red tint they carry a lot of antioxidants. So they have vitamin A by virtue of those pigments, vitamin K and zinc. All of these are very, very critical to good immunity, and therefore in winters we have to make different recipes using this. So about a 200 gram or almost 1 cup of greens should be consumed on a daily basis. And when I say consume your greens, I really mean don't restrict yourself to palak. Okay, like just please try to bring in all the greens that we mentioned. Whatever you get, it can be made in similar way as spinach. Okay, so whether it is a paratha using those greens, whether it's a soup, whether, and when it's a any green soup, you may want to use milk or a bit of almond milk to sort of balance the flavors and make it more palatable for kids, especially. Or you can use seasonings like mixed herbs, oreganos, or give a tempering, or using till or maybe even garlic. So again, they are superfoods for winter. Spinach rice can be made, so any of these green leafy vegetables can be used to make rice. Pakoras, which can be either fried or steamed. For kids it can be fried, there's no harm. Or even a khichdi that can be made using these greens. So try to use all the different greens during this season. Root vegetables. So root vegetables are the underground. Again, we are seeing abundant root vegetables in this season, right? So you're seeing carrots, beets, radish, sweet potatoes, turnips. I'm sure you're seeing a lot of yams. Okay, so you can see the purple yam when it comes to the varieties of sweet potatoes. And again, because they have beautiful red pigments or orange pigments, they are a source of vitamin A, carotenoids, as well as anthocyanins. So anthocyanins are the primarily from the red pigment, and these anthocyanins are, they help to protect us from the harmful UV rays, because now there is not as much cloud cover, so those rays can reach us directly. So the harmful UV rays are going to be, I mean, sort of, we are going to be protected against them by these anthocyanins. So now, how much of the root vegetable? So again, about a cup daily, if you can consume. So it can be brought to you in various forms. For the child, it's always good to use it in various ways, so that every time it's not appearing as a sabji only, but it is coming in various forms, and sometimes it's hidden. So if you make a paratha using the pumpkin, or you end up using making a soup out of it, you may grill the pumpkin or make a sweet dish using that. So instead of like using only a carrot kheer, you can even make a pumpkin kheer or a pumpkin firni. So all the kinds of permutation combinations that you use for simple carrots and beets are possible for pumpkins as well. And trust me, it has a beautiful flavor. So a lot of infants at 6 months start with pumpkin purees because it's so good in vitamin A, and also it's a very earthy, wonderful flavor which kids enjoy. So here you can use it in various ways and serve it to your child. Then there is vitamin C rich foods. So we all know that winter is associated with a lot of wonderful citrus fruits, and we can see a lot of oranges and sweet limes at this time. And these are again very vital source of vitamin C. Vitamin C, as soon as we hear the name, we know that it is associated with antioxidants. Basically, it is going to protect us from all the toxins around us or viruses, bacteria around us. So therefore, it's an antioxidant. Your good sources are also amla, oranges, even guavas are now still available. So these are great sources of vitamin C, and they are available in these months even preceding the winters, because you can start building your immunity for the winter. um, so amla, we think of how much of vitamin C. So in a day, even a child might need at least a 40 milligrams. So then you can get that from like about a cup of vitamin C rich fruits. So when it comes to oranges, sweet limes, one whole fruit or two whole fruits are good. Or else if you're trying to use amla, I know that often parents struggle that how do we give amla to the children. So firstly, let me tell you that I know a lot of kids who just eat raw amla. I think as parents, we don't imagine eating raw amla, but a nice tender raw amla which is just washed and give it to a child as a snack to be eaten during in the bus or during break time. And it's such an amazing source of vitamin C and so many nutrients. So then amla can otherwise then be also made into a chutney. You can make pickles using it. Of course, we make the murabba, right? So amla candy or even a fresh amla juice. So basically, through the winter season, early morning you can grate the amla, extract the juice through a strainer, and just add equal amount of honey to it and give the child as a couple of sips in the morning. So that also works wonders on the immunity. So you can look at amla juice, amla candy, pickles and chutney. Next group of foods is omega-3 fatty acids. So basically these are the derivatives of fat source, but it's not easily available in a lot of vegetarian food. But we would say that bajra or pearl millets, flax seeds, walnuts, they are fairly good sources. And of course in non-vegetarian food, fish is the best source of omega-3 fatty acids. Okay, so if you are able to eat a lot of fatty fish during this season, you'll be able to meet your requirements for omega-3 fatty acids. From a vegetarian diet, you may have to consume larger quantities to ensure you're getting enough, or else depend on supplements. So then Again, what is from omega-3 fatty acids? So basically these are fats. Okay, so fats are those which help to keep your body warm. All right, so then it will give warmth to the body. It will be a dense source of energy. So even if you're having a smaller amount, you will feel more fuller, you'll feel more satisfied. And then of course, omega-3 fatty acids are very largely associated with immunity because they are involved in the sort of reactions which lead to formation of antibodies in the body. Okay, so then how much do we consume? So if I have to take an example of flax seeds, then it would be about a teaspoon at least for the child. If it's an adult, at least 3 teaspoons a day. So then it can be again incorporated in the form of a chutney, a laddu using flaxseed. And so we can use flaxseed with coconut, and mix it with even garden cress and till, and then make a nice dry fruit matlab nut and seed laddu for the child, which they can eat as a snack. Or even flaxseed can be put into our regular mukwas, so that it can be consumed easily during the day by the child as well. And then, yes, vitamin D. As we spoke that because of the lower sunlight, we may not have as much synthesis of vitamin D in our skin as is required, especially during this season. So then, either exposing ourselves consciously to the sunlight between 11 to 2, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., or taking the supplements for vitamin D. So even when it comes to the context of the child, what I mean is that they should be playing in the sunlight between 11 to 2, and that applies for almost throughout the year, honestly, because a lot of us are vitamin D deficient. Or even using some vitamin D supplements for the child, especially in winter. There is more need to ensure that you're giving supplements on a regular basis, right? Again, because vitamin D is closely associated with immunity for all of us. Then nuts and seeds. So winter is the time which allows you to, have a lot of nuts and seeds. So throughout the year, we keep thinking, oh, this is going to be, heavy to digest. Oh, this is heat producing. So obviously, we always tell that once you soak the nuts and seeds, or you are able to roast the seeds well, then you are ensuring that they are not going to be as heat producing. But then this is the time in winter when you can really have them guilt free and in larger quantities. But then I've sort of outlined like a handful of nuts and seeds daily. So soaked almonds, soaked walnuts, soaked pistachios, soaked cashews can be consumed, along with roasted seed mixes. So again, seeds are like the powerhouse of nutrients, right? So the smallest of seeds has so much power that it can give rise to a plant, right? So then the seeds should be incorporated daily in the child's diet, which could be again, as I said, in the form of the nut and seed laddu that you can make, or put these seeds roasted into the mukwa so that the child can eat them several times in the day. Yeah. So winter calls for sort of gathering enough of the fat stores. Or see, in animal kingdom, they will be using up the fat stores during winter because they go into a complete hibernation mode. That means they are not going to have any movement activity, and for them anyways food is not so available during winter time, right? So then they can easily go into hibernation at this time because they have stocked up during the summer and monsoon months. Now for us also, it's like both ways, that we could stock up and right now go into hibernation, that we are metabolism is slow, so we may not eat as much. But then it's also a way to conserve your store for the upcoming winter summer season and monsoons, where you're going to be more active, and that active lifestyle, you're going to require more of the calories that you're storing now. All right, so that's how you can incorporate the different foods during winter season and ensure that you're making the best of those things which are available during this time, right? Yeah. So also I would like to add to this that a lot of times when we are looking at flu in kids, parents are very worried and they almost think that I'm going to do everything to ensure that I'm preventing this from happening. But it's a way for the kid also to develop immunity. Okay, so then we it's natural for them to get attacked by viruses, but it is as equally natural for them to overcome that by way of utilizing their own inner immune strength. So that means that they should be allowed to fight off those infections on their own, which requires a lot of rest, right? So for a child, most important is during infection they need to be allowed a lot of rest, which would be in the I mean, they might want to sleep a lot, they may not have an appetite, so they may not eat, so that is a digestive rest for them. So if you are able to give them sufficient rest, then they are likely to recover well from these kind of infections. Also, we need to understand that um, um, we before jumping on to any kind of medications to suppress the cold and cough, it's good to try some of the home remedies first. So across panels, I've spoken to doctors and they believe that yes, first we can try some home remedies. So basically, as we understand the nature of this particular season, we know that we want to keep our body warm. So for keeping the body warm, you may use the home remedies like doing steam inhalation, or even using warm oil massages. We know that mustard oil massage works very well for kids, or in this season especially, not in other seasons as much, but in this season. Then allowing for a bit of the like using some herbs like ginger or turmeric during the season, so making karas using that. Okay, so these kind of home remedies can always be tried, so that if there is a virus that has entered, either it is killed or it is thrown out of the body. Okay, so yeah, usually it is thrown out by way of the sneeze or the cough. But then yes, if it is, we do try home remedies, but then if we see it's very persistent, then we need to visit the pediatrician and get the right kind of care, understand whether what could be the cause, or there is a recurrent kind of exposure to the child in from the environment, so that can be ruled out and accordingly the child can be treated. But I would say that before jumping on to any antibiotics or basically taking any over-the-counter medication, you must first try the home remedies and then talk to your doctor and accordingly take the right steps. Yeah. Also, in winter season, a lot of parents worry then that once my child has developed an infection, how long do I keep them at home and not send them to school? But it's like it's like if you allow the natural process and you do not try to get quick remedies for the infections or flu, then you are likely to allow the child to build that defense system now, which is like in childhood that exposures are very common, right? From one child to the other, it's passing on, and we know in a class suddenly, one after the other, they have all caught the flu. But then that's a way of building immunity. Okay, so it's not that we totally get panicked that it should not happen at all to my child. But then if it does happen, then we know how to deal with it, and then we give the sufficient amount of rest to the child, give them that isolation needed so that they are able to recover well. Yeah. So that is where, as a parent, we can ensure we pay attention. Yeah. So this is the important sort of markers or things we wanted to remember for winter. I think when it comes to food, we have covered all the things, but when it comes to the lifestyle or basically activities for the child, I would say that let them be in the be exposed to the environment outside and learn to deal with it, handle it, and build their inner strength. Okay. Um, right. So, yeah, so then that brings us to the end of this session. However, we do have some questions here which we can take up. So, yeah. So, at what age does the child's immunity stabilize? So, yeah, so primarily we say that by age 5, mostly, the child's immune system becomes strong enough, and that's when, they will then become more prepared to handle everything outside. And that is why the age for schooling is after 5 years. And again, it's very um, it's a physiology that the child should be allowed to be at home till that time, and be in that sort of protected environment, so that till they become strong enough to face the outside world, they are still in the protection and care of the parents at home. uh, Nevertheless, as we see that as soon as the child starts going to school, that 2 years, and 2.5, and then they are catching a lot of infections. That is, like I said, very natural, and it's a way of the body to build its immunity, and that is okay, that is natural. All right. So yes, by age 5 we can expect a good maturation of the immune system. Is it okay to drink warm water through the winter season? Does it prevent catching cold? Right. So, like I said, yes, you're trying to keep your body warm from inside. So, one can take the warm water, if again, if it's an adult, I think they can appreciate that and have, and they're conscious. But if it's a child, only if they're enjoying it, you may make it a habit. Otherwise, if they're not, then it's okay to let it be. But yeah, one interesting mm, um, you know, um, um, one interesting strategy I'd like to share is that what can be done is that in their drinking water, you can put some herb, right? Like one herb a day. Like you can just put a small stick of cinnamon into their drinking water bottle. Again, it's not for very young children because it can be a choking hazard. But like older kids, 5 plus, who know how to handle that particular piece of maybe cinnamon or clove or cardamom, that is elaichi, that can be put. Or else, if you would, if it's a very young kid, then you may want to make a decoction, and a very mild decoction, and use that in their as the water they are consuming at school. So that can be done, and these are harmless. They're just a way to boost the immunity of the child, and only like in a half a liter bottle is enough of that decoction, and they can drink that, sip that throughout the day. Yeah, but I would say that yes, definitely keeping the body warm will help in preventing cold, because it's like, right, whenever you want to kill germs, you always try to keep that area or that thing warm, so the warmth helps to kill the viruses. So same way it will do for your body if you drink warm water. Yeah, immunity supplements. So I would say that mm, uh, if it comes to supplements, yes, like as I said, that if you're not getting enough omega 3 fatty acids, if you're not getting vitamin D, like if the child is not exposed to enough sunlight, then these are a must during winter, especially. So omega 3 fatty acids, vitamin D, vitamin C supplements. Again, if you think that the child is not consuming enough of vitamin C rich fruits, then they must be vitamin C can be supplemented. Also, I think what would be also good is to have the child taking a lot of the fermented foods, or basically foods which have healthy bacteria, because again, uh, uh, good bacteria is what is going to give us more immunity. So then, including foods which have live bacteria would be good. But again, we rule out curd and buttermilk at this time because we don't want to give them so much in winter. But then you can rely on things like kanjis or this like fermented food, like I said. So it could be idlis and dosas, hot idli, freshly made idlis, dosas, so that can be given. So those will be. So I would say supplements, yes, omega 3, vitamin D, and your vitamin C supplements if the child is not getting enough through the diet. Yeah, and they will be very helpful. In fact, a lot of magnesium rich food also can be included to boost immunity, and that would come a lot from your pulses and nuts and seeds, as we discussed. They will be a good source of magnesium and therefore will help boost immunity. So, does exposure to cold weather help in building immunity? So, what I mean is that yes, allow the child to adapt to whatever is the environmental condition by letting them be, the letting them play outside, or you know, I mean, like, do the activities as normally as they can, because honestly, on in other months, it's not so much fun to play the outdoor games like football or basketball or cricket and stuff when it's very hot, and or else if it's raining. So winter is a good time to be outdoors, because the weather is favorable in that sense. So I would say yes, it's just that allowing the child to be exposed is good to build better immunity. Yes. Yes. All right. So with that, let us end this session today. If you all have further doubts and questions, you all can direct it through the school to me, and I would love to answer them personally as well. And do join us for our future sessions. And I hope that all of you are enjoying the association with clay, because it's a wonderful, wonderful place to be, and a wonderful place for kids to achieve their maximum potential of, I would say, physical, mental, and emotional growth. And so, for your formative years, clay is a great place to be. Yeah, so thanking you all once again for joining us today. Thank you so much. Take care.